Okay.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This is the March 10th, 2022 Civil Service meeting. And first is the call to order.
Bill Kelly here.
Joanne Wiggins here.
Ron Doring, Civil Service Secretary here.
Lisa Neisel, present. City Clerk.
And Roger Maidment present. So let's move to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the agenda for March 10, 2022, the minutes from February 10, 2022, and the February 2022 payroll.
Sorry, I broke in. And is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Passed? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and it's passed. All right, next one is, what is the update of civil service rules? Go ahead.
Alrighty. So in 2018, I was tasked with completely redoing the civil service rules. And at that time, we used another agency's civil service rules and basically just went through it, to update it to make it our own. But in the process, we changed the points that volunteer firefighters get added on to their eligibility score to 10%. And we're noticing that it's creating a situation where nobody from outside of our who is a volunteer for the fire department places high enough on the list because of the extreme advantage that we've given our volunteers. So while we do want them to have an advantage, we don't want it to discourage other people from applying. So we would like to change that. It used to be a quarter point per, I think per year. And we would like to change that to 1 point after they complete their 2-year, and then then an additional point each year up to 5 points. So this is not an action item because I just wanted to get neither one of the next two are action items. I just wanted to bring it up, see if anybody saw any problem with it or any discussion that they would like to have on the subject.
Bill Kelly discussion.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
I like the idea of volunteers getting that point system because two things. Number one, it gives the city a little bit of an individual with experience, and it gives them some type of a goal to achieve within the fire department / city. And is there anything incorporated for a individual from the outside that's with another volunteer fire department or a full-time fire department that wants to come to the city? Is there a point system for them on that basis?
On the next item, we're changing the scoring, or I'm going to talk about that, and that would give somebody who had some certifications a little bit of an advantage, but not as far as specifically giving them points just being for being a volunteer in another agency. And we will still be giving our volunteers an advantage. It just won't be so extreme that it literally just, pushes everybody else to the bottom of the list.
What percentage is it now? You said it was 10% before.
It's 10% now.
Now, now. And do you know what percentage that would give after that, if that change were implemented?
I guess that's a good question. I don't know that would take some math based upon, and it would also depend upon, because it's 10% of their final score. So, I mean, now it is. So it would depend upon what their score, how they scored. Currently, how we're doing it, whereas what we're proposing is just 1 additional percentage point for the first 2 years, and then an additional percentage point after that, up to 5.
Is there some way of having a kind of like a middle of the road point system that would be fair to both sides, like the volunteer and then someone coming in from the outside?
Well, that's kind of why we think this is fair, because it's not giving as big of an advantage to our current volunteers. They still get an advantage, but it's not as much of an advantage.
But
So-
the bottom line though, after the scoring, after the testing, the scoring, and the list is established, it's still going to fall back to the fire chief to make a decision, correct?
Well, we send depending upon how many positions are open. If there's just 1 position open, the top 3 go to the chief for him to do the chief's interview, and then to select 1 from the top 3.
Right, okay.
Right now, we're in the situation where, say somebody gets an 80%, they get quite a few percentage points, times that by 10%, they get a pretty big bump. So somebody within our agency, a volunteer.
I would like.
So,
the
go ahead.
The percentage that it would be, I mean, I agree with what Bill is saying, but I'm just kind of wondering if this will now be down to 5% or, because a 1/4 point per year of services volunteer to a 10% credit added. Yeah.
Well, the 1/4%, or excuse me, the 1/4 point, that I was just stating what it used to be before we switched to the 10%. What we're proposing now is 1 point for the first 2 years, and then a point for each additional year after that, up until the 5 years. So,
Okay. So if they've got 80 points and they've done it for 4 years, they get 84 points, which comes not quite as close, but yeah, okay.
right.
Yeah, I understand the fairness of it, and I'm all for that. It's just that, again, with the volunteer from our fire department, someone that's been there for several years or whatever, it gives a chance for the fire chief to see what kind of individual that person is. And also, someone coming from the outside, it gives them that chance too. I mean, obviously by the testing, but it also from background checks. If there is a good background check done, it would give the chief an idea on that person too.
So I think we're in agreement, Bill, right? That you think that our current volunteers should get an advantage.
A fair advantage.
Right.
I'm not saying, give them a advantage where everyone is blocked out, everyone else is blocked out,
Right.
but a fair advantage.
Okay. So I think I'm thinking that, I think I understand, and I'll move forward and I'll bring a document to you next time for you to approve. Sound okay? Or not approve, but I guess for you to vote on.
Yeah.
All right.
Firefighter testing.
Okay. So as you can tell, we've been talking a lot lately about how to make sure that our testing is fair. And so the next thing so our civil service rules outline the the 10% or whatever we change our civil service rules to, the advantage that we're going to give our volunteers. But as far as the testing process is concerned, I present that to you before we run a test for that to be approved. So we've changed a few things on there. It used to be that the written and the oral board interview were weighted 50-50. And we would like to change that to 40 for the written and 50 for the interview weighted. And then that last 10%, instead of the physical ability being just a straight pass fail, we would like to change it to it being 10% of the final score. So with 6 minutes being the final cutoff. And then also to include some additional points for different certifications. So, and I don't know that I've ever had anybody apply that has had any of these certifications since I've been doing this, but they're listed there. The IFSAC Firefighter 2 would give them an additional point to the final score. The pump operator and the instructor 1. It is my understanding that wildland firefighting works the opposite of the IFSAC. So the lower number is a higher certification. And then also a point for any degree that is in the in a related field. So
Sean, yeah,
go ahead, Bill.
okay. With the fire department testing process, is there a percentage given to a veteran?
Yep.
Like the police department does?
Yep, veterans preference, yep.
Okay,
And that is added to a final passing score.
okay,
And there's a couple different based upon what type of service that they had.
sure.
So is there any discussion, any questions? I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, I'll put together the testing document for our next meeting for you guys to approve for our upcoming tests.
Kelly, it sounds good.
Sounds good. Is there any other business for the good of the order?
I don't have anything.
Nobody? Okay, no other business. So the meeting will be adjourned
At
at 12:12. Thank you,
need a
everybody.
motion, Lisa, or anything?
Oh, I need a motion?
Do we?
Let's do for a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
And the motions have been passed. All right, we'll see everybody later.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.